Sharon Curcio entered the New York City Ad Agency world as an account executive and left as a copywriter. Sharon's lyrics play, Contemplating Fire, was staged as an oratorio in 2022. Her scripts include Asayi, 15th century Japanese fictional history, and resonance climate change drama. She and Diane Saenz co-wrote Till She Comes Home military drama and Cowboy Poet, Western based in the Cowboy Poetry Gathering in Elko, NV. In 2024, she released the novel Asayi, an autistic teen's journey to Topple Shogun, medieval Japan, which won the 2025 Next Generation Award as a finalist in historical fiction. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my joy, pleasure, excitement, and honor to have on the show today Sharon Curcio. How are you doing today, Sharon?
I'm good, Peter. How are you?
I'm doing
It's
very
morning where I am and it's evening where you are.
yeah, time travel, I always say. I'm doing very fine. It just stopped raining outside over there. Stylishly cold, but we are getting on quite nice. Lovely to have you on the show today, actually.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be invited to be with you.
Yeah, my pleasure as well. Thank you. So, Sharon, we are going to get into the nitty-gritty of what actually inspired you to write Ashayi. But then, you've been a writer amazingly for the past 50 years now, and you've published multiple titles aside from Ashayi. What is your first creative spark as a writer? I'd like to ask that. And also, I wanted to know that which fuels you in to write, that thing that motivates you to keep on this journey. I mean, it's been 50 years so far. Something must have, keep you on going over and over again, etc.
Yeah.
I would like us to, talk about what fuels you on going and how you come about writing a shy.
When I lived in New York and I was working in New York in my 20s, I took Sumi brush painting, which was the Oriental Asian, you know, black Sumi ink on white rice paper. And I was always fascinated by that. And then in the ensuing de in the following decades, um, I became, well, very interested in Asian art since I was painting a little on my own.
Mm,
Um, and then I obviously fell into the history big time because I was an English and history major as an undergraduate. And so I felt, a deep connection to the language and the calligraphy
mm,
of Japan. And um, I thought their painting is like elaborate handwriting, if you will, and it's
mm.
just gorgeous. And it's also a medium where one can make no mistakes. It's not like Western art where you can change a color and you
Yeah.
paint over it.
Mm.
Once you put ink down on rice paper, that's it. You make a mistake, you got to start all over again, literally. It's very hard to cover that up.
Unbeatable.
So I kind of like the exactness and the precision because I'm pretty sure a lot of these painters painted really quickly, but they were so exact in what they did.
Mm.
It was absolutely amazing. So I've always been an admirer of their craft with ink and a brush.
Mm. Wow. That's an amazing storyline. That's a beautiful one you've told in there. Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, I wanted to ask, just for the sake of, new viewers or actually just discovering Ashai for the very first time and haven't read the book yet. And I would like to ask you, of course, without giving much information away, could you give us some of the sneak peek into some of the themes or say subject line, message, your mission, and what you aimed to achieve with the story?
Well, Asayi was a screenplay before it was a book. Okay. And the
Interesting.
log line was
Wow.
Ronin monks discover an aristocratic girl believed to be dead and
Mm,
use her Yuri to topple the Shogun.
wow.
There's a whole lot more backstory. When I open the novel, Asai is in a copy room and her father is chief scribe to the Shogun. but
Mm,
he's aging. He's an old man, and she's his apprentice in the copy workroom,
mm,
and he teaches her how to copy the script. But technically, she presents as mute. She does not speak.
wow.
And at this point in time, when the story opens, she's not literate. She can copy the characters as long as they're correctly presented.
Mm,
But if there's a mistake, she can't correct it. Okay. But she helps her father every day in the workshop. And
mm,
then finally comes a time when they have to, every so often, they have to go to the palace and deliver the copied manuscripts, whether they're tax decrees or, statutes for governing, whatever they are. And so
mm,
they go back to the palace because in those days, everything is hand done, right? No Xerox machines.
mm,
So, so
wow.
she goes back to the palace, and when she does visit the palace with her father, the Ashikagos were great art collectors.
Mm,
Both Yoshinori, who Asayi had a chance to meet, and his father were the great art collectors. And so when
wow.
she would go to the palace to visit, she would see, everything on the walls. So
Mm,
in some ways, she imbibed the artwork of the masters. I mean, if you know, you can't exceed a master unless you know what the standard is for masterfulness, right? So she
mm,
got to see that. And of course, that influences her as she basically self-teaches herself
oh,
to paint and draw.
wow.
So it's an interesting, all the threads tie together there. So
Mm, that's an amazing one, actually. I can feel your beautiful passion talking about Asayi as a character, and now I want to much move more further because Asayi highlights the strength and resilience of women in medieval Japan. How did you approach portraying female agency within such a rigid patriarchal society? That's my first part of the question. And also, did any character in this book surprise you by evolving in ways you hadn't originally planned? And does Ashaya relate to anybody you probably must have met in the past or a real life person, etc.? I'm just curious, actually.
well, I basically, when I was doing sumi brush painting, I was in a size position. I could paint
Oh,
a lot of stuff, had no idea what it meant, because I am not a Japanese, speaker and reader. So,
yeah.
but, and then it caught to me. It's like, I can paint this, but
Mm,
I don't really know what it means. Who else could be in that position? And
mm,
hence, a character who does not speak,
mm.
but can copy. And obviously, autistic children are known
Yeah,
for having those capabilities, right?
issues, yeah.
So I decided, okay. And
Mm,
in the 15th century, had not Asai been sequestered by a father who was connected to the court, and by the
mm.
way, he keeps our condition secret. Nobody knows about it until after he's dead,
Wow.
which creates a real trauma and a problem for her.
Mm,
But he keeps her alive, he trains her. I mean, she has somewhat of a skill. And, if she were born in any other family, she would have either been killed or made into a slave.
wow.
So she escapes that kind of life very early because of who her father and mother are.
Yes.
So,
Mm. Mm. That was an interesting answer. I love your answer to that, really. Sounds quite fun and quite interesting. And if you have a copy of the book there, I would like you to show it to the camera just so we can see what it looks like. That's a beautiful cover. I can see that we have two characters in there. Would you like to talk about the making of the cover?
yeah. I taught high school for like 30 years, high school English, right? And so I love teenagers, like my favorite life form. So anyway, Um, this is a Sai with her brush, and she's painting her Yuri, her ghost, and she's dabbing blood on the white outfit of the ghost of the Yuri. So it's a perfect teenager thing. I'm alive, but I'm gonna play my ghost, and here I'm helping my ghost get dressed. So I
Mm,
just adore it. I mean, it still tickles me that it's fun. You know,
mm,
they're on a teenage level. That would be fun.
mm. Wow, that's an
Okay?
interesting one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the cover has a meaning and the cover ties into the story.
Mm, I love your take on that. That's quite interesting to know.
Thank you.
How do you feel winning that beautiful award you have inscripted in the front page of the book?
I didn't know what I expected after I wrote and published Asayi. I know I had to get reviews. Um, I submitted it, you know, like here and there. The reviews are averaging 4.9 on Amazon. So I'm
Interesting.
getting really glowing reviews.
Yeah,
I've gotten like 3 or 4 medallions for excellence. I just got the Next Generation Award for historical fiction.
fantastic.
Um, so I didn't know what I expected, but I didn't really expect anything. You know, I just put it out there. So, and I knew how to do the normal stuff. You have to get reviews in order to get people to read it, blah, blah, blah. So I
Yeah,
did the normal stuff. But yeah, I just really I
interesting.
didn't expect any of this.
That's amazing to know, really. That's really fun to know. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Asai herself is such a unique protagonist, mute, autistic, and deeply resilient. Now, what was the most challenging aspect of developing her voice and perspective on the page? And also, the Shogun is a powerful figure in the story. How did you go about shaping his character, especially in balancing historical accuracy with dramatic tension? Because I think you've done a lot in that regard, actually.
Thank you. The book covers the historical time period 1439 to 1441.
Wow.
And in 1441, Yoshinori Ashikaga is in my book. He is assassinated. When
Oh,
people say, "How did you start the story?" Well, I hate to be crude, but it started off with me looking for an assassination event. Okay.
wow.
And so I looked for the assassination event and I found there was one. And he was the only shogun assassinated.
Hmm.
Okay. In the line of shoguns. So I'm thinking, okay, so now I have my man and I did my research about him. And then I was building, you know, the character, the character of Asai. I mean, I had a previous screenplay with this plot structure. So when I wrote the first book or the first novel, it was really simple because I'm following the plot structure of the screenplay, but then I had to make it a novel. And so you have to research all the details that you need to enrich all of the characters.
Hmm. That's an amazing one, actually. I love your take on that. Quite beautiful. I love the fact you mentioned 1421 to 1441. That's quite like 10 years time,
No, it's 1439 to
10,
1441. It's about 3 years.
3 years. Interesting. Quite
Yeah, it's
amazing,
3 years.
really. Absolutely. Quite beautiful. And the Muromachi period is rich with art, culture, and political upheaval. Now, I wanted to ask
Yes.
you, what drew you to this era as the setting for Shaya's story?
Well, first of all the events are true. There was a rice farmers' uprising. It was a
Mm,
revolt against Yoshinori Ashikaga
yeah.
because there are certain landowners that were not remitting taxes to House Ashikaga, and
Mm,
he increased the taxes on rice farmers to 70%.
mm,
So obviously a lot of people were upset, and then of course if you didn't pay them he was burning down villages, and then the Ronin
terrible.
monks stepped in
Mm,
and said we got to fight this. So the peasants were in, or the rice farmers were in revolt.
oh,
I
wow.
didn't have to invent a lot. There was a lot of stuff going on,
It's a
you
lot.
know.
It's a lot,
Yeah, there's a
actually.
lot of stuff going on.
Absolutely. It's a lot, actually. And also, the novel touches on how the upper class supported the hearts in that period or during that period. Now, how important was it for you to weave that cultural backdrop into the story alongside the political drama happening?
Okay, you know that when you write a story, you're world building. That was a term I learned. I never cared about it when I was writing script, right? World building. But in a story, you have to have the correct details, you have to have the correct tone for various actions that shift
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
change. But on some level, I kind of like writing historical fiction because I'm not making up a whole lot of crap. I mean, I'm following a historical timeline.
That's beautiful.
And I have real characters I can research that lived in that time period. And then, of
Mm,
course, I have the um, created characters that
mm.
inhabit that time period and interact with the real people of the time period.
Abs-
So, it all works, but I'm very glad I'm writing against reality and not
uh,
just totally doing something purely imaginative. I think there I would fail, but I'm writing
mm.
against reality, so that's definitely keeps you in line.
Absolutely. That's very true. I can relate to that. Once you're writing about reality, it keeps you in line. You know, the
Hmm.
character is somebody you've researched and you feel, okay, this somebody real as at that time. I can follow through a story, quite beautiful. I can relate to that quite interestingly. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And now, just apart from Asayi, do you have any other works you've authored or say currently working on? Do you?
Asayi is now going to be a trilogy, and I am
Interesting.
currently finishing book volume two.
Wow.
That and volume two will cover 1441 to
Wow.
1443. And I'm finishing that up now. And then the last book in the series will probably be either a prelude to the Onin War or we step into the Onin War, but then I have to age people and characters and people die because I have to jump the book
Yeah.
over 20 years. So that's going to be daunting, and I haven't started on that yet because I'm trying to finish volume two.
Did you saw that initially that is going to be a trilogy or it just develop on itself?
Um, let's put it this way. There is room for a volume two because there's another incident that happens that is of significance.
Mm,
Okay. And then the last book would really detail essentially the fall of House Ashikaga. And
mm,
so then I have to like get that all together,
mm,
in terms of what happens there. But yeah, I think that there is one very interesting event that happens between 1441 and 1443.
mm,
So I'm going to put that in there. And that's a confrontation between the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom of Japan because it was divided in
mm.
this time period. The
Yeah.
Northern Kingdom was run by the Shogun, and the Southern Kingdom is run by the Emperor. So,
Wow. That's an amazing one. Well, I love the sound of this story. It's so interesting, so captivating, so intriguing, and so beautiful. And just in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview and would love to get a copy of Asaya, on what platform is it available on for purchase?
you can purchase this. It's a novel, a paperback. It's a Kindle or an ebook, and it is
Mm.
an audiobook. And so you can purchase that on, well, of course, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, D2D, and its subsidiaries, Amazon, Barnes and Noble,
Your website.
Ingram Spark, if you want to order through that catalog. Audible would have it. Um, and Find a Way Voices last summer became Spotify. So for some reason, it's supposed to be there too. So I haven't checked it all out because there are so many changes in the distribution arena,
Mm.
but that's where it's at. Recently, I'm getting a bookstore, an Asian bookstore and paint supply
Wow.
shop or store. They have actually four stores in the greater LA area, and they're going to be ordering it and putting it into Kunakaya. So I will basically have the book there. And Kino Kunaya is spelled Kinokunia, and it's in Los Angeles. So, and it will be in a number of the Kino Kunayas in LA.
That's amazing to know, really. Quite beautiful and quite awesome. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Asayi directly on Amazon and Barnes& and Nobles on English Spark and also Sharon's website. I also left a link to Sharon's social media pages for possible followings. So thank you so much, Sharon, for joining me today to sit and talk about your amazingly written historical fiction. Quite amazing. We're able to talk about the story of Ashaya. I find it so interesting. I took some notes that I'm going to get back to later on. Quite interestingly, thank you very much for coming on. This was really impressive.
Oh, thank you, Peter. You were wonderful. So I so much appreciate your thoughtful questions.
Absolutely. Thank you as well.